Is Kenyon lately? No.
It looks like he got beat up.
I asked him, I said, what's the other guy look like?
I said the same thing.
And then he says, well, most people ask what I did that Raquel beat me up. Well, good to know. I'll text Swoop. Thank you. That was good. People want to hear you anyway.
Yeah.
Catch myself sometimes.
Well, Committee of the Whole meeting to order on Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 6 PM. Statement regarding the meeting notice. The agenda for the meeting was sent to the Shawnee Leader and results broadcast. Copies of the agenda were also posted at the Village Hall, Fondle State Bank, and the library. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary.
Second.
Motion by Hanstein, second by Kelly, to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can I have approval of the February 28th, 2024 minutes?
Make a motion to approval of the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Hanstein, to approve the February 28th, 2024 minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Acknowledgement of citizens in open forum. Communications, petitions, correspondence. Reports, Fire Chief, not here. Police Chief, Keith Fisher. Have anything?
I don't have anything.
Fine. Clerk and Treasurer,
We had our open test yesterday, our public test for the machines. All the machines tested good for the election. A little bit extra training this time with the new awards. We always had 2 awards, but we have 2 districts now. So there are 2 different ballots this year. So that will be new for voters. With the last census, they split our district. So we have 2, for the county, we have 2 supervisors now. Stone has 1 supervisor, which our county board supervisor was Martin Klusterman and Dan Stashik. Now we will have 2. So 2 running are Russ Bain and Matt Duke. So if you're that side of 117, for the most part, you have Matt Dushek. This side of 117 would be that. So we're just training them how it's all listed in the full book as to where who has what. And that we have to all over with coworkers and the ballots are marked. It'll be a little bit of a learning curve for them. Otherwise, it went good.
How's that absentee ballot going?
Fine. I had one today that was a little bit. I had a missing absentee ballot the gentleman said he did not get. And I don't trust the guy so much. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I've had where he's thrown it out thinking it was junk mail in the past, and it's just a regular. So he said he didn't get it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait and see if he gets it because when the absentee doesn't come back, then I have to call the election commission, and it's a big deal. And needless to say, today it came back. Sandy Stashik brought it back, and somebody else in the facility where he lives must have got his mail, opened the absentee, wrote the absentee, signed his name, the person signed to the absentee, realized that it wasn't his absentee, and then brought it down to his apartment and put it in the door. Well, now I have an absentee that was issued to one person, but voted and signed by another person. So what do I do with that? So I got it all figured out. It was a good time today. So, yeah, a little bit of a mess, but like, oh my. So here this guy was like really doubting. I'm like, he probably threw it away. Well, he didn't. Somebody else had it. I mean, it's clearly marked his. And,
Were they even close in name?
oh no, not at all. Not at all. And
But
I'm
you
like,
asked him if he both the same, then he,
well, the only thing good was the guy that was supposed to get it said, don't even worry about getting me a new one. I just want the presidential one. And I'm like, okay, we'll do that. So I didn't have to issue him a new ballot, being that, like tomorrow's the last day I can send an absentee ballot because the election's Tuesday. So, whatever. But yeah, good times.
Don't understand why he needs an absentee if he came down.
He didn't.
Oh,
He didn't.
oh.
He's got a minion. So.
Little yellow mini guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's all good times. It's very, it's all fun.
Director of Municipal Operations.
Interesting tidbit I found out that 4755 from Highway 29 south to Black Creek will be under construction starting April 11th.
Lovely.
Yes, so that entire road, essentially from the north side of town to Black Creek, is going to be under construction come April 11th. The signs that we had outside that said road construction, road will be closed starting April 1st have all disappeared. I called the DOT, asked them where they were today. No response, no return of the signs, so everything's going lovely right now.
Sounds cool.
We haven't even started. A couple of complaints about culverts and stuff that we're tracking down with the engineering group that did the design work for the DOT, but we don't have a dog in the fight for it, so. Other than that, that's all going pretty even, or fun. Michelle didn't hit on it, but that's our Baxter, the bear, with our cone there. You can see our little cone that she is taking to businesses to put out on display. If you want to see after the meeting, the items that we purchased to hand out as giveaways as part of the promotional deal there in the inside the clerk/treasurer's office. So feel free to look at that afterwards. Other than that, I ain't got nothing new. Just been working on WEDEC and that grant that we won, and hopefully we can get that submitted before April 1st so we can get our money quickly, because we plan on using that mostly for the RDA, Downtown Redevelopment Authority, some engineering costs with Sunrise Court, and some legal fees with Sunrise Court that we have to do for all that. I'll give you an update where we stand on that in the closed session. Other than that, got nothing.
H, new business. H1, discussion and possible recommendation on Eller's proposal on village borrowing.
So this is the borrowing from Ellers. Michelle could probably articulate it a little bit better, but essentially it breaks it down. Our debt schedule of what we got going on. We have a phone call in with Ellers tomorrow to discuss some things. We found out some interesting tidbits after digging, Michelle doing the digging and finding out what our sewer refund, what revenue bond was, sewer revenue bond. So essentially what it is that we had to take out money. We refinanced the loan to pay back the sewer that we put in all the sewer infrastructure with, which was millions of dollars. The TID was supplementing that payment to that sewer fund, the life of the TID. So our payments were like $87,000 out of the sewer fund. Well, everybody remembers how healthy our sewer fund is. Well, after doing some digging, we found out that we were supposed to be raising our sewer fund 2% every year since, what was it, 2017, 16, which was never done. It was done, I found it, when I first started here, I found some paperwork that says, hey, we need to raise the sewer rate every year, so we implemented. But long story short is we were supposed to raise that sewer rate every year at 2% to increase the cash on hand for the sewer fund, because now that the TID's gone, our payment for that sewer refinancing bond or revenue bond is all coming out of the sewer fund. So it varies from year to year. So roughly say $250,000 a year we're gonna have to take out of that sewer fund to pay back this. It's a refinancing fund bond. So right now we have enough money in there to do it for, like, let's say 5-6 years. Between now and then we'll generate enough money to do it, to make the payments for the next 2 or 3 years after that. So year 7 from now, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna make that payment. And that bond goes up to 2038, 39. I see. Okay.
Basically, the infrastructure they put in 1996, 99, will have taken us 40 years to pull out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the money that we were paying back on the TID. That was we refinanced stuff in 2016 so that we could continue to pay it off and have enough money to have a healthy sewer utility to try to pay it off. With the sewer utility for the remaining years after the TID was done.
So the 2% was the maximum you could do.
There wasn't
No.
a maximum.
The
'cause it's
sewer's not regulated
it's not
by the
regulated by the
PSC.
PSC.
It's not regulated at all by the PSC.
If you get too crazy, they'll step in. Like if we raised it, like I know there's communities that put in treatment facilities that got to raise their sewer rate by 250%.
Yeah.
Once they catch wind of that, or you can do large raises like that, the PSC steps in. But the only thing the PSC really looks at is your water rate. So like when we did that full rate case or conventional rate case for the water, they regulate and tell us what we can do. We can do the sewer. When I say we, the board can agree to do the sewer rate to adjust it as they see fit.
Okay.
So what I can track back basically to 2016 and why it was missed for a few years till Jesse came on. Because in 2016, there was a lot of stuff going on with the board. There was some dynamics going on with the board that was, there was stuff going on in the papers. There was 3 board members after 1 board member, and it was the president they were after. So there was some hoopla going on there. They had a police chief quit. They had half the staff quit here, I think in 16, 17, about that time. They did not have a DMO. They had an interim who was still here. He was there when they passed this 2% to be raised every year, so thinking he might have not reminded them to do that, or didn't like they had that happen. So there was a lot of dynamics going on at that time as far as staff and board. So I think it just didn't happen. Then they got a DMO on. We didn't know about it because it was passed prior to being there. Jesse stumbled upon it. And so, it's all these things that are unwritten and we come across. So the reason I found it is we start looking at this debt obligation and I'm like, why is the sewer loan not in here? And so I kind of asked Brian, the gentleman who puts together, he's like, well, that one you don't have to put in your debt service. And I'm like, but it's a big payment. Why are we not putting it in there? And he's like, well, it's revenue. It's a revenue bond. Yeah, so then I started looking at it. So I started researching what this was and why we did it. And I'm like, I started reading it and I'm like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Things are making a lot of sense now. So, yeah. But it's just good we figured it out and didn't spend a bunch of money out of the, utility.
Yeah.
The other thing with sewer is we always have to keep a certain amount of an emergency fund for
In
sewer.
there.
For
Yeah.
equipment.
And we also have to keep a certain amount for debt service. So it's just, it was good that we know that we didn't think we had money there. That,
Right.
Something versus, using cash on hand in there or something.
So we're gonna implement the 2%?
Well,
We
we
haven't.
do
for the
every
last-
year.
But we
We
lost
haven't.
out on all that revenue from like
There was
2016 to
Right,
2020.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 4 years there that we didn't do it
Oh,
because it wasn't known to do it.
cool.
Yeah.
As someone likes to say, that was a Fredo sword.
Yeah, but like I said, there's a lot of things that we find that haven't been done. But so back to this whole deal. We are having a meeting tomorrow with Ellers. There's a couple questions we have. So he's presented the numbers. The debt service that we have existing looks correct. We've included everything in there. He has on page 2, table 2. In there is basically he's laid out 2 projects that we're looking to finance. The 117 project that we don't have enough cash on hand, or the grant from the ARPA money that we're not using. So what we would need to finance. When he's talking about levy in there, that is anything that would be like road, sidewalk, and engineering costs. So that's what's included in levy. So that's your capital. So anything that's capital, which would be like 300 bucks. That's 300 capital project. Everything else would be water, come out of the water utility or sewer utility. So when they say levy, that's what they're talking about, the levy, sewer, where that water would come out. He does have some questions about the special assessments and how that plays into it. And that's, we have that conference with him tomorrow on. But right now we'd be looking at about $517,000 for 117 to complete that. And then for the Rolling Meadows project, $548,000, and that's not including what we would be getting back on specials. And the other one we don't have on here is, and one of the questions I have for him is to account for the land sale. So we purchased the land, but I don't know where the land sale, when we would sell those houses the land for the houses, the development, where that comes in. So, we're looking for 548 for the road and the infrastructure, but we also have to have, there'll be the water, sewer, the capital, and the land coming back in off of that. But right now, to get the projects done, we'd be looking at a little over $1 million to basically borrow as a general obligation. So table 3 is showing the breakout. So the payments will be coming out of water, sewer, and capital. The estimated insurance expense on that. So again, this is where they make their money. To borrow that money, you're looking at $71,000 for us to do this. So you're looking at about 1.3. So that's where that's typical. That's kind of how it works. The next page, and this is something else that we have to talk to Ellers about, would be the debt service payments. So this would be our actual payment allocation chart. So this is kind of broke out by the levy, the capital, the water, and the sewer. So this is how it gets paid back over the years. What we want to do is we've done that TID, affordable housing extension. When we originally talked to him, we're going to have the first 2 years, like we have a portion of it from this year, and then we get all of next year's money from the TID because we did that affordable housing extension. We want to use that money right away to pay down on this debt. Okay, so the way he's going to structure this payment schedule is that that first 2 years, we can use that money to pay down more on this debt. We can't do a prepayment on a general obligation. You have to make the payments as long as they're there. That's how they make their money. So he can schedule the loan payments though, or the debt payments, to make bigger payments at bigger times or lesser payments at lesser, at different times. So we want to make sure that those first 2 years we're paying back all the money we can out of that affordable housing extension from the TID. So that's one of the conversations we want to have with him tomorrow. So this debt service will probably change before we would approve it finally, but that's one of the things we want to talk to him about. And then the finance plan tax, that's just basically looking at where we are and where we sit as far as each year, how much debt we would have with all of it together, and so that we'd be sitting okay percentage-wise, because we can only be at a certain percentage. And the same thing with the impact of the finance on the next couple pages. It's just kind of that's what you want to touch on any of that.
No, I mean, it shows you the impact of the house. I mean, to look at the numbers there. We're only taking out it's not a 30-year general obligation. We should pay that back rather quickly. So we won't see much relief on the taxes until we get, as you can see, on a $250,000 house, this year would be the same. Next year, if we didn't take out this loan, everybody's taxes would drop, $300, but it'll still drop a little bit, and that's how it affect the tax rate. I think that's something to look at.
So at this point, we're going to meet with Ellers. We still have more questions. This is not going to be the final end all. We're just looking for recommendation to the board to move forward with the proposal to do the financing. We definitely need over $500,000 just to do 117. We don't have a choice in that situation at all. We don't have the money. I mean, we have what we have from the ARPA money, which we've been holding on for the last, however long since we've gotten that money. We have a certain amount of cash on hand that we can use, but beyond that, because we're doing the infrastructure in that road, we don't have a choice. We have to pay for it somehow.
Right, we don't have that money in the water fund, because it's all water work we're paying for.
Yeah. Basically, both of these projects where the expense comes that infrastructure is the biggest thing. So we would need to move forward with, we're just looking for the recommendation to the board to move forward with this. And if, I don't know if most of you guys were here when we did the last general obligation. It's not a small process. It's kind of a lagging process. It takes, I think, what they say, about 90 days start to finish.
90 days, and then we're looking at, they talked to DOT, we won't have to make payments hopefully until the end of the year, but we're not looking to get this issued until, what is it, September,
Yeah, early fall.
early fall, so that way It takes them a while to generate this. And then I just want to reiterate that the first couple of years that we're using all that Affordable Housing Act money you guys already approved for. So that'd be a $300,000 payment to the Sunrise Court, and then the assessments will get, depending upon where it all lands out, we should get probably about $70,000 to $100,000 for assessments to put back towards this loan. It could be anywhere between 70 and actually $200,000 put back towards that loan.
Depending upon the property sale.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what we want to talk about, how that assessment plays back into this. and
Right.
How do we make sure that that's being used to offset everything?
the amounts that we need are right in there, but how it's paid back and how it affects everything will adjust once we talk to Ellers and Brian to get all our ducks in a row. This was just sort of his shot of what he understood and where we're going with it. Now he needs us to interject the information so that way he can get it.
We're
More
trying
accurate.
to get this before the meeting, but.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get over it, so we just can't.
I'll make the recommendation to move it to the board.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Zuliger, to make the recommendation on Eller's proposal on the village borrowing to the board. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation on personnel policy draft from village attorney.
All right, so we finally got the personnel book back. I feel like this thing's been haunting us for
A year.
about 3 years, it feels like. All right, so couple questions. So you guys should have a copy in there. On page 3, so Ashley has looked at this and Rose, if you guys remember Rose from our sex offender appeal, she's looked at this also. On page 3, they've added a couple things. So under there, we have genetic information. You know, the way the world's going. So if you guys are fine with that, that's one thing she's asked if we wanted to add. Are you guys okay with that? Or do you have any offense?
Well, I think it's something that's standardly used now
Yeah.
in most cases anyway, so it's not anything.
So that was something they've added. The other thing she added was the reasonable accommodations for disability. I think that's just a standard thing they've added, so that was one thing they added, so if you guys are okay with that, we would add that. On page 2, we have 90 days, or according to their employment contract. Later in the book, we have 6 months, I think it says, or according to their contract. So I guess, which way would you guys rather have it?
Are they different?
Well, it's just saying the probationary period, there's one place that says the probationary period of performance review shall be completed at 90 days or according to their contract. Most of the time, it's within 6 months. So to me, 90 days is usually the probationary period.
Standard.
Yeah, and she said a lot of places don't even have a probationary period. The only place that you see that is municipality. So I guess, to me, I don't think it's bad to have the 90 days, but most of the time, we don't do it until the 6-month period. Because usually at 6 months,
At least you cover yourself by having a 90
and we
days.
also have it in there according to their employment contract. Most of the time, it is just an employment contract.
Yeah.
What if you don't want to make it 6 months with a certain person?
Then you could do it with according to their employment contract. So I didn't know if you wanted to leave it at, shall be completed at 90 days or according to, or do you want to do that at 90? Because then we could change the other one to 92. I guess I don't care. It's either 90 or 60, or 90 or 6 months. So,
I would say I keep 90.
I'd say
okay, so we'll change the other one to 90 days.
You just never know.
Right. All right, then on page 4, she had changed everything to supervisor. I think we had department head. We kind of call everybody department head here. Do you want department head or supervisor?
Well,
If you call them department head, I think it should be department.
Right.
That's kind of what I thought, but so I'll make sure everything says department head because she has changed it in spots in some places it wasn't. Where it's an employee pay period, we have non-exempt employees, question this, okay, so it says full-time employees are expected to record 80 hours in each pay period. Any time taken off in that pay period must be accounted for. Employees will use vacation, whatever. And she's like, I think you have this wrong. I think you mean exempt. Well, what I'm thinking we should put here is exempt and non-exempt hourly. This goes from, the reason this is in here is non-exempt is because it was my employee who was abusing the system and was not working the 80 during a 2-week period and was just taking off and not recording hours. And then had off a lot of time, was abusing that. So we added stuff in there that employees need to use vacation, sick, personal, to make up any missed hours in a pay period so that they had 80 hours, whether they were exempt or non-exempt. We knew exempt was one thing, but we had put it in as non-exempt, so the hourly people had to use their hours so that they weren't just doing what they
Using
wanted.
time, yeah.
Right, not
Or
using
not
time and
using
just
any
taking
time.
time off.
Right,
So what I would say is maybe we just put exempt and non-exempt
yeah,
employees.
and that covers both.
That would
Yeah.
cover everybody. I know what the stuff on page 5 was okay. In the middle there, that's what we suggested. She said that was fine. Where it says per diem, she added attorneys. I thought that's fine there, I think. Page 6, I had a question on the part in red there about the police department. So prior to Keith being on, we had part-time police department. We had a problem with the part-timers abusing holidays and working 17 hours on a holiday because it was all overtime. So we had made a change that police department employees shall receive time and a half for their hours worked on New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day. Right now, the way it stands, he's a full-time employee. Any holidays he would work, came in, called into work, chose to work, he's gonna get time and a half for, an hourly employee. So
That kind of,
I don't think.
it's null and void. So
Yeah.
my only thing would be is, I guess, I mean, and he would follow the same thing as the above, that if a holiday, he gets off the same holiday we do. So to me, do we remove this at this point? If and when we get part-timers?
right, I would say at this point, we could remove it, but if we do get part-timers, we could have to look at it.
And I
again.
guess the other thing is we
Revisit it.
have a full-time chief at this point. If and when we get part-timers, I believe that the chief we have needs to handle, place looks sketchy. But I would think that he would monitor his own employees and it would be a scheduled thing.
Right.
You know,
He would.
he might.
I think, I mean,
But yeah, the jury's still out on that one. But I mean, and I know like the 4th of July, you know, we used to have a thing years ago that when we had staff, part-time, full-time, they all had to work the 4th. That was like a given because that was a big thing here. But I mean, I guess when we get to that bridge, we can cross it. But I think at this point, we just remove it.
Well, Keith didn't put in his vacation yet for the 4th of July.
Not
I
yet,
plan on being here.
but yeah. So I think we don't have a problem with it because like I said, he's full-time, so he follows the full-time thing that if he gets called in, has to work, chooses to work, unless it becomes an issue, but I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's the fee.
I mean, it would be no different than any of us, so. So I think we can just remove that at this point.
Yeah.
Page 7, where it says leave of absence with pay. This has been in our handbook for a while. The attorney questioned that. She said this is not anything anybody does. She's not sure why it's anything. She said, why would you have a leave of absence with pay? The only time would be is if you were suspended and you had to give somebody pay. So she's saying we should probably remove it. So I guess I'm asking you if you guys. Because it's basically just saying.
Now, I have a question, I do with absence, does that count for people who are in the military?
We have a military duty one down below there.
Yeah.
What about, oh, they got concerned about?
Administrative leave.
Well, that's what she's saying, that it would be like an administrative leave, which would be a different situation. This is like a leave of absence with pay. This is not like an administrative leave.
so if they wanted to go on a sabbatical or something.
No, we don't have administrative leave.
So I don't know if that's what it was thinking.
Is
If
that
that's what it would
FMLA?
have been, maybe,
What about FMLA?
we don't qualify for that.
We don't.
We don't have enough employees.
Okay, so that sounded familiar.
So unless it was administrative leave, I can ask her.
Hey, we're way farther than we were for 2.5 years or whatever, where we waited on that.
But, okay, so I'll ask her if that's maybe what it would have been. Maybe that's what it was supposed to be. Because she said she was fine with the leave of absence without pay, like if something happened and you guys want, like I needed time off and I get board approval without leave, she's good with that one. So I'll ask her on this one if this would have maybe been what it was. Since we don't really have that anywhere else. Okay, page 9, where it says neither the village nor the insurance carrier will be liable for the payment of workers' compensation benefits for injuries that occur during the employee's voluntary participation in any off-duty recreational service. She's saying remove this. That's just a liability. Because that's just a weird statement and that could get us in trouble. Like, I don't know where this is from, why you have it in there, but she's saying remove it. Okay. The other thing she's asking about is employee development, the second part there. Okay, so we have job-related training. So that would be like if I went to a conference, seminar, or any other training, you guys are gonna pay for it. Personal development. Personal development is encouraged, but no cost will be reimbursed. Personal development shall be done on the employee's time. So she's like, is there a story to this? She's like, I think there's a story to this. And I'm like, I have no clue. So she's asking why we have it in there, if we really need it in there, if there was a reason, and I'm like, there could have been. It could have been somebody wanted to go back to school, do something, and I don't know what it would have been, but I don't know of anything. Is there a reason we would want to have personal development in there?
I'd say remove it.
I'd say remove it.
Say it at all.
Because yeah, she's going, I don't know why, she's like, I'm thinking there's a story here, and I'm like, I mean, because basically, if there's any training we're going to, and it's job related,
Yeah, it's paid for.
it's gonna be paid for, or we're gonna be talking to you guys about it, and it's gonna be work related.
Right.
I got a question, what's that cafeteria plan?
That's a plan that no one has taken it, the only one that ever took it was, Pat Cheney. It's just basically like, you can put money away to use, like, yeah, it's like a health savings plan.
Oh,
basically.
HSA?
Yeah. Yeah. I never take it. I usually offer it around December and nobody ever seems to take it. I don't think everyone offers it. So we can remove the personal?
Yep.
All right, so then, I think the rest, let's see, okay, so they're 14 and 15, that top page there, there's some stuff messed up in there. I have a call with Ashley next week. I need to talk to her because we have in here the police department employees, the appeal shall be filed with the police commission. We no longer have a police commission, we have a hearing commissioner, a hearing board. So that's wrong, I need to talk to her about that. And if this appeal is exactly right. So I will talk to her before we approve it at board.
Okay.
On page 15, this is where I'm talking, where it said the first 6 months, an employee shall receive evaluation during the first 6 months of their employment or according to their employment contract. So do you want to change that to 90 days then? Yes.
Yeah.
And then department heads, we'll change that to be, they said in there, some says supervisor, some say department heads. And then on page 17, weapons policy, question was, and I was gonna ask her about this, and I would question you guys a little bit. It seems kind of like a weird thing to have in here. Should that be in here, or should that be a separate policy of village? And that was my question before I actually.
Well, there's so many CCWs out there, I guess. Concealed carry,
Yeah.
I mean-
Maybe it should be in there.
you know, that it can't be on the property or in the building, but they can have it secured in their vehicle.
So maybe it should just stay. I guess it's
Well, either way, it's a policy, isn't it?
It's a policy, so we can leave it in there. I guess, I don't care.
It just,
I mean, are you guys fine with it in there?
Yeah,
Fine.
I mean,
Okay. All
because
right,
I'm assuming it's a policy for the village.
yeah.
Yeah,
We can move this to another one till we get,
So what I would
Final
say
thoughts
is
on
we can recommend it to the board, if you're fine with that, or if you want me to find out clarification first on this grievance policy, then we can move it back to the committee of the whole for next month. Or we can move to the board, whichever way you wanna do. If you wanna see a final yet, we can move it to committee of the whole for next month, and then
I think we'll do that.
That's
move it to
probably
committee of
the
the
better
whole
idea.
next meeting.
I mean, we've waited this long.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
But it's
honestly,
getting
it's,
closer.
now it's clipping along like, you know,
I know. So we just need basically to move it to the next, or we'll just move to the next meeting by consensus?
Yep.
Discussion and possible recommendation on park donation program.
okay, this is, what we had going forward with several meetings, we talked about this, but you see, we put some stuff together about different levels of donation and what each level would get each person or business on the, throughout the village. We're currently working on solidifying a PayPal account, so that way people can send it digitally, anonymously. We also have a form in here where you fill it out and you can do cash or check, bring it into the village. We have several different things you can do, not only the levels of, you know, Friends of the Park, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. You know, obviously you're spending $10,000, you can opportunity to name the park or the equipment or whatever you're doing. So that way maybe we can get some corporate sponsorship in here. On the backside, this would all be on our webpage. So this would be like a landing page, the first one, and then the other. We have an idea, but we haven't solidified it yet. And then we'd also have some memorials you could do on the back. The bench would be the example of like what we have outside. If you want to put a plaque on there dedicated to somebody, we could do that. Or if you just want to put a bench somewhere, and the price is essentially what it costs us for the bench. And then the big thing is when you get the donation options, we list the options there. So we have the playground equipment, the concession stand at Village Park, the baseball diamond lights at Village Park, Village Hall green space, which I don't know. Let me just hit on that real quick. Right next out here, we put up that fence. We kind of cleaned it up. I want to do some more landscaping, some other things, but I guess just put in the back of your mind that sometime we're gonna have to, I guess, name it. So, not to be discussed here. So put that in the back of your mind. And then Village Bondwell Parks system needs essentially wherever we see fit. So they would have to donate where they want it, or if they want a bit of bench or a tree or whatever, fill out the form. When you submit it through PayPal, you'd have to put in the comments what you like. We're seeing if we can do a form right now. The next page is sort of an example of what we would think about donation levels throughout the park. So you have the platinum level. And these are all just ideas right now. So obviously, if you're a platinum level and you donate that money, your logo would be a lot bigger up top, and so forth and so on, scaled down for the amount of money that you give. So that way, everybody can be recognized that donates to the Bondwell area parks. One thing that we hit on, if you look at the logo up top, we wanted to stress area parks. Bondwell, we use our logo, but we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that this money is going for parks and parks only. And if you don't dedicate it to one specific thing, it'll just go to the needs of the parks. Questions?
We did, Jen is working on getting a PayPal account set up. We did get an email set up. It's going to be parks@villagebondwell.com. I am working with the bank to get an account set up because checks will be made out to the Bondwell area park. We're going to have a checking account set up because PayPal has to go to a checking account for the business PayPal. So I talked to the bank yesterday on that, so we'll get that set up. I already have the chart of accounts set up, which you guys already passed the resolution back in August to set up that special fund. So that's all done already, so it's just a matter of getting the donations
these forms ready to go and the levels and the forms ready so that we can get it out on the website, correct?
Yep, because I want to get, what I'm looking for is a recommendation to send to the board for approval to get put on the website to go live with it. We're gonna create, kind of hard to read here, but I don't know. Business development, to take that circle away and then put parks in there, or park donations. Then sort of have that first sheet as your landing spot to say, hey, these are the different levels, this is what you can do. Then also have a hyperlink where you could open up the form of what you want to donate it to, a QR code, so that way if you want to scan it, we can put the QR code anywhere too. Scan it and then sort of have an example maybe of the sign on our page too, so that way everybody sees who's donated what. Questions on the levels or anything? Do you think that looks appropriate for levels?
Yeah. Thanks, fine. If you do get the credit, you get the stuff that you got some corporate involvement would be nice.
Yeah, and I've been planting seeds with a couple places that I talked to. The only thing I have a question is on the first page from 0 to $4.99. If somebody donates $1, are we putting it on the sign? Or do we want to put a minimum donation to be on the sign?
I would say minimum.
I would put it up in the upper levels.
I think I'm like,
400.
You gotta have at least, at least bronze to be on the sign. Sort of like, and the example we have in there, we just stole from somebody else, but that would be an idea of what we'd be doing. Because they got copper, and I don't want to use copper because copper, even though copper is expensive, they don't hand out copper medals at the Olympics.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, turn green.
We just need a recommendation
Yep.
to move forward to some.
I'll make the recommendation to forward it to the whole board.
Second. Motion by Kelly, second by Hanstein. To recommend to the board on the park donation program. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now go to H4, our amended item, discussion and possible recommendation on the Art of the Month program.
Okay, this is something that dreamed up about promoting lawn care throughout the village. Essentially what it is, to go through May through September, and there's a couple things. We need to find out who would be the judges of this and when we'd implement it on the water bill. But essentially what it is, that you'd get nominated you would nominate yourself for whatever reason, but the nomination and then the Yard of the Month committee, whoever we determine that to be, would go around, judge the yards, pick a winner, give them a sign, put them on Facebook, give them a $50 water credit on their water bill.
everybody's like, whoa, my yard's getting flipped.
We weren't thinking about moving to Bondwell until I got the $50 credit.
We'll get a little sign made, but essentially what it is, it's free, open to anybody within the village. Property can only receive one award each year. So the same yard can't win it every month and
Well,
get
every
free
year
water
you
for
have
summer.
to build it up and up and up. Until
Yeah. I cash that all in for. So I guess the first thing is any recommendations or department of who would, I would probably manage it, or the village would manage it, myself or Michelle, the clerk's office, but we need a committee to do the judging or to pick said
To
yard.
judge it after they're turned in, or you have to?
You'd have to turn it
People have
in
to turn votes in, right?
There's only one judging per year.
per month, from
Per
May to
month.
September.
Okay, per month.
So
We have May,
basically,
June, July, August, September.
yeah,
The
it's-
person
they
would
have
have
to
to
have it
submit.
in by the 15th of the month to the end of the month. They can turn in nominations.
So like the first one, we'll receive all nominations till the 15th of May.
Okay.
On the May 16th, if it's a work day or whatever, the committee would look at the recommendations and say, okay, drive by or look at it and say, yeah, this one. So who we need to know, the directions are wrong, I'm right.
Oh.
This is my goat screw.
Because you were gone on vacation.
Yeah.
You did directions.
What am I not going against?
Nominations begin on the 15th of the month to the end of the month. Winners will be chosen the first week of the month.
Right, but for May, they turn them in to the 15th of the month.
15th to the end of the month. And then the winners pick. June 1st.
So who would be the yard of the month for May 1st is what I'm getting at.
It has to be started in April.
But we're starting in May.
So it'd be
So-
starting on May 15th and your first one would be in June.
Okay, let me rephrase that. All nominees for the May 15th drawing will be turned in between
I guess we'll have to clarify.
now and May,
Well, everybody's got more than
right,
Okay, so
when spring, we'll clarify that
we'll have to clarify.
for the first month is what I was getting at. But what we need is recommendation of who to put on the committee and move it forward.
I just heard Kay said that her husband was anal about his law and it didn't have to be kissed.
No.
So
No, this came in.
Oh, the other came,
The other
yeah.
case?
Really
Yeah.
Speak for the one that isn't here, that's what I'm talking about.
So we said that it wouldn't just be necessarily, so we had on here that, you know, the evaluation would be on lawn mowed neatly, lawn and flower beds and flowers are free of grass and weeds. The yards are clear of clutter, garage, garbage cans and litter. Landscape is pleasing and inviting to the front yard and freeway. Overall appearance is neat, so it's, you know, just not having your lawn.
The holistic view of the outside curb appearance.
Yeah, and then we're gonna take their picture and put it on Facebook and, you know, make a big deal, and then we get a sign.
Sign in the yard until the
We're gonna
next one
get
is
a
picked.
picture, this is the sign, it would look like this.
Traveling trophy.
Yeah, he wants a
Nice.
traveling trophy.
I was thinking about getting a cup, sort of like the standing cup, and then by year 5 would be this tall.
I think
I'm on a coffee.
I think with the judges, you should take the people that are on the board and the department heads and put their names in a bag and draw 3.
Even the police chief, you guys around town.
Yep,
I see
Cause
plenty of
he's-
yards.
he's seeing it.
Put them in.
You're seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. Just draw them that way.
Somebody wants to volunteer.
Yeah, just draw 3 every
Unless someone's
month.
really into like looking at yards.
I will just.
I vote, I don't.
What?
I'll be
I
honest.
said, I vote, I don't
Yeah.
want to look at yards.
I wanna be on the committee.
Well, you guys are driving around anyway.
Well, you act like I don't do nothing.
Yeah, what about
No, no,
What
no.
about
I'm
the
not
guys down
saying
at
you
the
don't
shop?
do anything, but you don't do it all at
Like I
one
said, I was
pace.
trying to think of someone in the community that's really into
I would-
that, like,
your guys
you
should do
know, but
Jim,
I know somebody that's
Ronnie.
really into the community.
I recommend myself, Michelle, because, you wanna be a part of this?
sure.
And Keith, and then one board member. I say us 3 because us 3 don't live in the village. And then do you
What if
have,
I have my favorites?
well,
Well, how many board people, we can draw one board person.
Well, if you're gonna do
how
you
about each
3,
month we rotate?
Yeah.
each
Pick
month we'll
Lynch.
rotate.
pick Lynch. There's your 4.
No, we'll just pick a board member each month.
Yes.
They'll be deciding members.
There we have it, boom.
That works.
you guys?
That works. President too, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, he's in the
The
drawing.
board
Yeah.
member. He drives around.
Sorry,
He actually drives around a lot.
He does. He's in the village a lot right now,
All right.
doing stuff.
So we just need a
Recommendation. to move it
a
forward.
recommendation, to move that to the board.
I'll recommend that we move the Yard of the Month contest to the board.
Motion by Court, second by Page. Make the motion on the Yard of the Month program. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carried. Okay. Unfinished business. Closed session. Move to closed session to discuss possible development of Sunrise Park. Thanks to Wisconsin statute, chapter 19, general duties of public officials, subchapter E, that exemption, owning, deliberating, or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the invested with public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. At the end of the closed session, the committee will reconvene to open session.
Make a motion to go into closed session for approximately 5 minutes. Inviting Michelle Marashik, Keith Fisher, and Jessica. I'll second.
Sorry.
So motion by Stashik, second by Hochstein. We're in a closed session for approximately 5 minutes, inviting Michelle Marashik, Keith Fisher, and Jesse Rank. Roll call.
Court,
Yes.
Ottenstein,
Yes.
Kelly.
Aye.
Page.
Aye.
Stashik.
Yes.
Gaines.
Yes. Moved in a closed session at 6:50
Oh, wait.
Election Tuesday, 7 to 8. Spring cleanup is next, the week after, April 9th to the 11th. Village board on the 10th, maybe the whole 24th, and then the drug take back event is the 27th. Do you guys have time on that?
I do, I'll have it for you.
I know it was on the board up there, so whatever. She didn't have it, but I know it's Saturday. So that'll be down there.
Cool.
Nice.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Pretty good.
Kelly, second by Stockard. Adjourn. Discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.